Now, I've said before that Boris Johnson is a man who has no plan. However, that really isn't true. He doesn't have any plans in terms of policy, but he does have a plan in that anyone who dare crosses our great and glorious leader needs to be punished, and punished as much as possible. And this doesn't just include individual MPs, such as having the whip removed from them. By the way, for those who don't know, who might not know what that term means, that basically means if a Tory MP has the whip removed from them, then come the next election, they cannot stand as a Tory MP, and it pretty much guarantees they are going to lose their seats. We saw this at the last election where Johnson removed a load of MPs that had stood against him and said what he's doing was wrong, and they stood as independent, and none of them won back their seats. So this a single MP opposing Johnson really is career suicide. So there is a real worry that MPs aren't going to, especially MPs in his own party, aren't going to stand against him. However, we'll see how that pans out, because there has been a significant number of MPs who are saying enough is enough. So maybe we'll see movement this month. Who knows? Like I say, it's all up in the air. But given the fact that obviously what has happened, Boris's shame levels just know no depths, and it doesn't matter. He won't apologise, he won't step down, he won't make ministers resign, he just won't do anything. And this, in the long run, damages our politics hugely. It's what they call political decadence, and it's just going to ruin permanently our politics, but also pollute them for easily the next 4 years. But what's Boris's agenda on revenge? Now, it's not Boris's revenge agenda isn't just limited to MPs, it also includes institutions. And this one especially is really worrying, because Boris has decided that he's going to take revenge against the election watchdog for daring to investigate vote leave. And this is a real attack on our democracy. So this article that we're going to go through today comes from The Guardian, and it's the Tories' plan to scrap election watchdog undermines our democracy. So opposition parties have condemned the Conservative proposals to abolish or significantly revamp the Electoral Commission, with Labour saying that any move to restrict the election watchdog risks undermining faith in democracy. The Liberal Democrats say any moves against the Electoral Commission, as outlined by the Conservatives' co-chair Amanda Milling, appeared to be an attempt to prevent the exposure of embarrassing funding connections to Russian oligarchs. The Commission regulates the political donations and spending and other areas, and has the power to undertake its own investigations and fine parties and officials for breach of rules, although more serious matters are passed to the police. The government's advisory body, the Committee Standards on Public Life, is currently holding a review of the electoral regulation. In the submission to the process, the Conservatives said that the Commission should not be given new powers of prosecution, saying that it would bring, quote, too many conflicts of interest. That says it all, really. Writing in the Telegraph, Milling argued that the body should accept more outside scrutiny or be disbanded. If the Electoral Commission fails to make these changes and do the job it was set up to do, then the only option would be to abolish it. The Electoral Commission is doing its job. It's doing the exact job that it was set up to do, and it has been serving its purpose. The only problem is that the Tories don't like how it's been investigating them, as well as their connections to funding, which they do not like. And hence the whole revenge saga comes into it. So I will say this now, if you live in the UK, I've already done this, but if you live in the UK, write to your MP about this and tell them tell them that the Tories must not be allowed to weaken or dissolve or scrap, depending on what you want to use it, the Electoral Commission. This is massively, massively important that this body does not get scrapped or gets weakened, because already our politics are already getting more and more corrupt, and this is one of the things that bodies that we can use to help stop that corruption. So it's incredibly important that we keep this body intact. So anyway, it continues. The commission is viewed with suspicion by some Conservative MPs who believe it has unfairly targeted pro-Brexit groups, such as with its decision to fine the campaigner Darren Grimes £20,000 for electoral spending offences in the 2016 referendum. This was overturned by a court appeal. Some campaign groups have called instead for increased scrutiny of the election system, particularly after a long delay report by Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee said the government and intelligence agencies have failed to properly assess Russian attempts to interfere with the Brexit vote. Cat Smith, Labour's shadow cabinet office minister who deals with the voting issues, called the Conservative proposal a harmful and worrying step for the integrity of our democracy. Removing the Electoral Commission is just one part of a coordinated strategy by the Tories to remove scrutiny and proper accountability, she said. Without the Electoral Commission, no one could prevent the Tories from introducing policies that fundamentally make it harder for people to vote, such as mandatory voter ID. This move comes straight out of the Republican Party playbook. The Lib Dem MP, Wendy Chamberlain, said that with attacks on judges and the legal prorogation of Parliament, Boris Johnson has shown that there is a threat to rule of law. She said that now the Tories' embarrassing funding connections to Russian oligarchs have exposed their plans to turn the guns on the Electoral Commission as a direct attempt to undermine our democracy. In its own response to the review of the electoral regulations, the Electoral Reform Society has called instead for increased powers for the Commission on the lines of the Information Commissioner's Office. The group has argued that it is striking that we now have a regulator with substantial powers to protect data privacy, but no such powers have been granted to our regulator entrusted with protecting our democracy. And this is all about who funds who. Where does this money come from? Who is giving this money? That is something that will help defend our democracy. This is what should happen. I completely agree with the Electoral Reform Society there. So a Conservative spokeswoman said that if the Commission were abolished, its functions should be transferred to other bodies such as the police and Companies House. He said that our submission makes clear that the Electoral Commission needs to reform to become more accountable with clear, up-to-date, non-conflicting guidance for political parties, particularly in light of past mistakes. Would the Liberal Democrats or Labour say every fine or investigation into them has been proportionate and fair? Rather than lobbying for more powers, the Commission should be focused on getting its house in order. Thing is, it's already in order. Are there problems with the Electoral Commission? Probably, yeah. I certainly could see there being an argument, but the idea of getting rid of it completely and just giving it to the police, which, by the way, are already underfunded, so how are the police going to manage, on top of everything else they already do, managing that stuff as well as Companies House, again, another government body? It would just be too much. There should be an individual body doing specifically devoted to this. So getting rid of this is hugely, hugely worrying and should be a massive concern to everyone living in the UK. This is why I please said, I've already said this before, please contact your MP today and just set up an email and say, dear whatever, it's very easy to find out who your MP is. Literally just type into Google, who is my MP, it brings up a website, you put your postcode, it tells you who it is. So we'll use mine as an example. So go, dear Dan Jarvis, I'm writing you today to talk about the Conservatives' proposed plan to change the Electoral Commission. I believe this body is important to defending our democracy and should not be weakened or scrapped. Instead, should be given more powers so that it is a stronger defender of our democracy. This is how, and say how our democracy needs to be strengthened, not weakened, especially during this time, given the goings on in the Tory party. Even if your MP is themselves a Tory, person, always end with the threat of, should this come to pass and you either scrap the Electoral Commission or you weaken the Electoral Commission's powers, I will be no longer voting Tory, as I do not see you as a legitimate defender of as I no longer see the party as a legitimate defender of UK democracy. That is always the threat, especially if your MP is a Tory, you should end with. It is very, very worrying. And like I say, the more and more people do this, the more the MPs react. And I've always said, always contact your MP. It does have an effect. And because it gets them know that what is going on out there is happening, and not enough people in the UK do this because not enough people are politically turned on. However, especially during the schools crisis, a lot of those new Northern Conservative MPs are the ones that are saying enough is enough, because they've had their inboxes completely bombarded for over a month of angry parents saying, how dare you do this to my child? This is, it does have an impact, but you need not only just, that once, you need weight of numbers. So please do get involved in this, and do write to your MP, regardless of what party they support, of what they are. And if they are, again, a Tory, do end with that line that I do not see your party as a legitimate defender of democracy. Please make sure that, or else basically I won't vote for you. That is always the true ending I think you should have. So on that note, please do go and email your MP and tell them that, because it will have an effect. So please do spread this message as well, because it is incredibly important that people know, especially about this, what's going on, and that people, in response to knowing about this information, do write to their MP. So please do like and share this video. It will help spread the message. If you are new to this channel, please do hit the subscribe button. We do talk a lot about British politics, and of course we talk a lot about Brexit, because Brexit ain't going anywhere fast, despite the fact that it's going to, quote, finish on the 1st of December. Brexit will long hang over this country for a long time to come, until we rejoin the EU. So with that, if you would like to support the channel another way, there are links down below to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link. That does support the channel as well. So with that said, thank you for watching. Please do share this video and share this information. I do think it is very important to get the word out there about what's going on. And with that said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time.